Friends. Welcome to each of you for attending this session. We hope so far we have been able to convey the installation part of Python, including installation of libraries and also associated topics through our previous sessions and the YouTube uploads that we have made in our YouTube channel. Today we have with us CA Kushwant AVSR from Visakhapatnam. He is also a cost accountant with All India rank below 10. I welcome Mr. Kushwant AVSR for the session. We also have with us Mr. Alok Sethi, a practicing chartered accountant, the national level faculty for AI in various forums. I welcome Alok Sethi sir. Also, dear all, our today's topic is use case on integrating AI capabilities into Python using APIs. At the end of this session, I request you to submit the faculty feedback. Over to you, CA Kushwant sir.
Thank you, Amit sir, for the introduction. So, without any further delay, let's just start the meeting. I'm just going to show you what we are going to achieve in the next 20 minutes in this particular meeting. So, let me just start sharing my screen. So, I hope my screen is visible.
Not yet. Yeah, visible.
So, this is the Python code which we are going to achieve in the next 20 minutes. So, this is how it is going to look like. Here we are going to write a query. For example, I want to know the use cases of AI for chartered accountants, how it is going to be helpful for us. So, let me just simply type how AI is useful for chartered accountants. And I'm just going to simply click on send. And now the Python code is going to sync up with the AI in the background, and then it is going to fetch the response, and it will go to just display this particular response, how it is going to help us in very much detailed manner. Similarly, we can attach files and we can ask the queries, and we're going to get a response based on the file attached. So how exactly are we going to achieve this particular thing? So to achieve this, we need total 3 libraries. The first one, which is nothing but the Gemini AI. Here I'm depending on the Gemini AI because it is available at free of cost. Rather than compared to ChatGPT, DeepSeek or any other AI, Gemini, the basic models are available at free of cost. So let me just going to show you how to get that particular Gemini AI. So here we are using something called API, which stands for Application Program for Interface. So the API is going to act as a bridge between our computer and the Gemini server. Rather than going through the login process, every tremendous process, it will directly hit the servers with our query, and it will just going to give us the response. So to do that, I'm just going to go to google.com and simply search for get Gemini API key. Now I'm going to get a website in the suggestions how to get a Google Gemini API key. I'm just going to simply click on that. Let me just go to some other website. The second one, because the first one is a sponsored one, it is an ad. So in the second website, we're going to get a thing, get a Gemini API key in Google AI Studio. So as soon as we click on that, it will redirect us to some other website. So here, there is an option to create API key. Create API key. By simply clicking on that, we're going to get one API key. Using that particular key, we can directly access the Gemini servers rather than going to the Chrome and logging into the Gemini and asking the queries. We can directly ask the queries from our Python code itself. So without any further delay, let me just start the code, how exactly it works. So I'm just going to, as stated by the Amit in the previous session, how to write a new Python code. I'm going to right click here, click on new, and a text document. For example, let's just type it like a CAEI. And I'm just going to change the extension from txt to py because it is the extension for the Python file. So now let me just open this particular file, edit it ideally. I'm just going to click on this particular thing. So I hope it is visible, or can I zoom it?
Visible. You can still
Visible.
zoom it. Yeah.
Let me just zoom it a bit. I hope now it will be visible. So here I'm using three libraries. One is popularly known as Streamlit. The Streamlit library is very much popular in the Python. It helps us in visualizing the menu, something like an UA, the user interface, how we are going to interact with the Python. So let's just import Streamlit as st. So what I'm doing here is that as st means whenever I want to write Streamlit in a Python code, rather than writing Streamlit again and again and again, I'm just going to call it as st itself, something like a shortcut. We are defining it. Next one. To use Google, I mean the Gemini, we need to import the Google Generative AI as GenAI. Here, instead of using as GenAI, you can directly write import google.generative.ai, but the issue is that every time you're going to write a code, you have to type google.generative.ai, google.generative.ai again and again and again. So to avoid that, I'm just importing the same thing by creating a shortcut. So whenever I want to write google.generative.ai, I'm going to simply write GenAI. Next, import OS. The OS is something like the basic functions in our operating system. If you want to copy a file, replace a file, download a file, or to select a file, and everything will be stored in the OS module. So now, in the Chrome, as soon as you're going to click on this particular get API key, you're going to get a key. I'm not displaying my key over here, but you can just simply use that particular API key. So what we're going to do is that we're going to configure our AI, our generative AI with that particular API key. We're going to just configure genAI.configure. So what it exactly does is that it is going to just make our entire code with this particular API key. API underscore key. And here we are going to type equal to, and we are going to type the key that we are going to get in that particular website. For example, my API key is ASDFGHJKL, for example. So this can be fetched from this particular website by simply clicking on create API key. We're going to get that. We just need to simply copy it and paste it over here. Then we need to find the model. There are various models in the ChatGPT, for example, Mini, O1, OC, and similarly in the DeepSeek, R1, there are various models. Similarly in the Gemini, we have 2.5, 1.5 Flash, Flash Pro, experimental models, various models. Out of all these models, the model which is mostly suitable for the basic work and which is almost free, for example, 1500 queries per day, which is absolutely free up to 1500 queries. So I'm using a model called Gemini 1.5 Flash. So how are you going to know which model is free and which model is not free? We can just simply go to Google. There we can just see for API pricing. There we're going to get a full list about this particular pricing information. So here we're using a free model, the free version. So GenAI.generative model. We are selecting the model over here. So I'm selecting a model Gemini 1.5 Flash. So after selecting the model, we need to start a history. We need to start a conversation with this particular AI. So to start a conversation, whether we want to start a fresh conversation or we want to continue the existing conversation. So I want to start a fresh conversation. So I'm just going to want the entire response that I'm going to receive from the AI to be stored in a variable called response. So response equal to model. Model means the model that we have selected over here, Gemini 1.5 Flash dot start chat. So it is going to start the chat. So after starting the chat, whether we need to store any history or it will be a fresh conversation. I want it to be a fresh conversation. So history equal to null, which is nothing but nothing. So it's just going to make a fresh conversation with this particular AI model. So here we just configured everything that we need. Between just 3 lines of code, uh, we can say that we have just fetched the capabilities of Gemini AI into our Python code. Now, setting up the user interface. Actually, setting up the user interface is quite tricky in Python, but with the help of Streamlit, we can just very much simplify it within just simply 1 to 2 lines of code. So the first one that we want to write. For everything we need a title. For example, for the CA study material, we're going to have a headings, chapter headings. Similarly, for a code, we need to have a title. So here, the title will be, we can just say something like CA interface. And followed after having the title, we want the user to enter his query. So for the user to enter his query, we want to ask the user to input his values, and we want to store somewhere the values that the user had entered. So further, I'm just creating a variable called query for A. Here we can write anything. So whatever the user is going to enter will be stored into this. Something like, for example, in our mathematics classes during our basic 10th class, we used to do algebra. Let's say, for example, even in the costing, X has fixed cost, Y has variable cost. Similarly, I'm specifying that query for A is a variable where the user entered query will be stored into this particular variable. So query for A equal to st dot, st means here we are referring to the streamlit. We are referring to the streamlit. st dot text underscore input, which means it is going to wait for the user to enter his query. And whether we need any heading for that particular input box. Yeah, we need it. So please enter your query. So as soon as we run this particular code right now, we're going to get that particular interface where we're going to get a text box or which it will be written, please enter your query. Now, we also want the user to give an option to select a file if you want to. For example, I want to upload a notice and I want a reply based on that particular notice. So further, selected file. Here I'm creating another variable called selected file. So whatever the file that the user has selected will be stored in this particular variable. st.file uploader. Actually, I'm writing this code, but in most of the days, we can just ask the Gemini or ChatGPT saying that these are the API keys and this is the model that I want to use. So create me a code and it will just try to prepare this particular code in a fraction of seconds. But for better understanding, I'm writing the code over here and I'm just going to share it in the group with proper comments. I mean, why exactly we are writing this code, why exactly this line is needed over here. So here, upload a file. The system is going to ask the user to upload a file, and what type of files are acceptable over here. So for the time being, let's just only accept PDF files. If you want to accept also Excel files, you can just simply press again double apostrophe and XLSX. So the system is going to accept the Excel files also. If you want to accept document files, comma, docx, and so on. The drawback in the Streamlit is that we can't use asterisk, which means the star, something like accept all files. So after doing all these things, we need a send button. So the system is going to send all these documents and the query to the AI and it will fetch the response. So for the send button, let's just type st.button send. The reason behind writing if is that it is going to trigger if and only if that button got clicked. If that particular button got clicked, then everything that we are writing from here on will be triggered. And after writing an apostrophe over here, I mean the colon, we need to press enter and we're going to get a space from the corner of this particular sheet. This is called as indentation. Whenever we are writing something which was meant to be a part of this particular loop, then we are going to keep it in called indentation. We do not need to do anything. The Python itself is going to add those things. So if we have selected a file, because the user might select a file or the user might not select a file. So if the user has selected a file, then file underscore path equal to os.path.join. So what exactly this os.part.join is going to do? It will just join the paths that we're going to specify. For example, I want to join something like C and program files. So it is just going to join C colon backslash program files and backslash and so on. So here,
Sir, 4 minutes left.
yeah, yes, sir, it will be completed. Just 3 more lines.
Okay, no issues.
Just 3 minutes. So we're fetching the selected file name over here, and we're selecting that particular file path into a variable called file underscore path. And after doing that, we need to save this particular file somewhere, something like a cache memory or temporary memory. And from there on, we are going to attach this file into the Streamlit. So we are just opening file underscore path. I know this might become a bit technical, but the major reason why I just picked up this particular topic is that after I have shared this particular code with you guys, you can simply upload this code into the chat GPT or Gemini, and you can ask it to explain line by line. So you guys can get a detailed explanation or something like a beginning part. And WB means something like a writing mode. So I'm opening this particular file in the writing mode. So I want to create a duplicate file of the original file. Something like a temporary cache memory. So I'm just writing the entire file, the selected file, into this particular created temporary path. So after doing that, we need to upload this particular file into the Gemini, the GenAI. So let's just upload it. My file. So here I'm creating a variable called my file, from which we are going to upload this particular file. GenAI.upload underscore file underscore path. So what exactly it is going to do is that it will upload that particular file, so that from there on we can ask multiple queries on that particular uploaded file. And after uploading the file, we need to send this particular file and also the user query to the Gemini. So to do that, response.send underscore message. Response means here the model.start underscore chat. So I'm just uploading my file and also the query that the user had specified over here. And after doing that, I'm going to get a response, and the response will be stored in response. So what if the user had not selected any kind of variable? Else, response dot send underscore message and query for AI. So here in this particular else statement, what we are doing is that we are not attaching any file. Instead, we are only sending the query. So after sending the query, we are going to get the response. So what we're going to do is that HTML Streamlit. In the Streamlit, we are writing this particular response. Response.lost.text. So technically, we are going to receive the response in JSON format. In JSON format, there will be headers and various things. So out of these things, we're just picking up the lost part, and in that part, we want to fetch only the text value. So due to that, we're writing response.lost.text. So over here, we got approximately. We're just going to see it over here. Let me just reduce it or place it a bit top. So there are approximately 22 lines over here. So this 22 lines is going to create this entire code that I had displayed on the starting of this particular screen. This is what we're going to get exactly. The reason why I am not executing that particular code is that we do not have that particular API key. So in this particular code, the first one, I have that particular API key. So after writing the entire code, we need to create a batch file. Batch file means nothing but a notepad file with the extension just as .dat. Let me just edit this particular file. Here we just need to write this particular single line, python-m streamlit run. Here we are going to write the file name of our AI code. So here it will be CA underscore AI. So as soon as we did that, we're just going to simply click on enter, and it will open this particular interface. Here we can just directly upload the files or ask any queries with respect to the Gemini AI, and we're going to get the response. And I think the time is up, sir. Amit, sir. I think the time is 8:20.
Pushwanji, no problem. Two questions here. This
Yes.
local host, from where do you get? Can you brief this part?
As, as soon as I'm going to click on this particular batch file, if you observe here, I'm getting a command prompt open. Here, it is running in this particular local host.
This is
So,
your system.
yeah, it is going to run only in my system only. So every time I run this, the local host will differ.
Okay. Then can you briefly summarize for the benefit of all the benefit of API for using Python for doing various automations
Yes.
in their practice?
So here, actually, we guys might get a thought that we can use Gemini, ChatGPT, or DeepSeek, everything, and we can already achieving this. We're going to ask the queries, say we're going to get the response. But by the benefit of integrating the API into our own Python course, gives us the power of customization. For example, I want to write a letter. If I ask the ChatGPT to write a letter, I need to upload a notice. I need to ask it. It's just going to give me the text. And now it is also giving us this particular Word file. But if I need a PowerPoint along with images, this particular chat GPT is not going to do. Again, I have to switch over to Gamma and there are various tools over there. So by integrating these type of APIs into our own Python code, we can create a single code which is capable of doing everything at our fingertips. And also to open chat GPT, at least it is going to take 2 minutes of time. We need to open the browser, we need to open this particular website, login, everything. But over here, just run the code within next fraction of seconds, you're going to get this particular interface. And I'm just going to give a detailed note with regard to this, Amitji,
Okay.
for the sake of group.
Okay.
Okay. As the time is limited, I can't able to explain everything in detail. I hope you guys understand. Sir.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Kushwanji, for presenting the use case on API. As you said, you give a small material for the benefit of all, so that along with the YouTube video, we can upload this note. Also, I request you to brief 5 key benefits of using API over and above the normal GPTs for drafting code, because its benefit could be of a very different perspective, and it might be very useful if that is implemented in CA offices. That is what I would like to tell you.
Yes, sir, definitely. As the time is limited, or else I might able to show my actual use case that I have presented in hackathon. But I
You
think we
can
can just conclude it over here.
you can share the link of that hackathon
Yes.
what you have presented, that we can share it with our members in our group.
Yes, sir. So I'm
So
going to share it, sir. After this particular session, I'm
sure,
going to share it to you, sir.
sure.
So thank you, Amit ji, for giving me this particular opportunity, sir.
Thank you. We have uploaded the faculty feedback form. Kindly submit the same. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.